Hi everyone, welcome to this Spring Boot 3 Microservices full course where we will build a powerful and real-world cloud-ready microservices using Java 21 and Spring Boot 3. This tutorial brings together the most important microservices features you need to know like centralized config, service discovery, API gateway, communication, resilience and error handling. You will find all these important features in one practical project. Like throughout this full course, the best part is that we will be using the latest technologies and versions available to implement these modern microservices, and we will follow the industry level best practices to create resilient, scalable and cloud native microservices. In this hands-on project, we will use Spring Cloud Config for centralized configuration, Eureka for service discovery, Feign client for inter-service communication, which is best for synchronous communication, and Resilience4j for circuit breaking and fault tolerance, and Spring Cloud Gateway to manage and route our APIs. We will also implement centralized error handling and follow the best practices throughout the entire process. Whether you are a backend developer, a Java microservices developer, a fresher, an experienced engineer, or a DevOps professional, or even a software architect, this course is designed to give you a clear and hands-on roadmap to building modern microservices in 2025. And trust me, this video will absolutely take your Spring Boot and microservices skill to the next level. Let us get started and build something really powerful. Now these are some important prerequisites which we are going to use like Java 21, Spring Boot 3 and Spring Tool Suite with version 4+. These are some important latest technologies we are going to use, and there are many other Spring Boot related dependency or libraries we are going to use. I am not going to mention all those here. Now let me tell you what all things we are going to implement and in which order we are going to implement that. So first we are going to create one Git repo on GitHub site wherein we are going to keep all our configuration, like we will create application.yaml file which will contain the global stuff, which will create microservice or service specific configuration like customer-service.yaml which is specific to the customer service. Likewise we can create for order service as well. So all these service specific configuration files we can create. Apart from that, we are also going to create environment specific configuration files like customer-service-dev is for dev environment. Likewise we can create production environment file for customer and order client microservices. So these configurations we are going to keep inside one Git repository, and next we are going to create one config service which will interact with this, which will fetch the configuration data, and it will give to the calling client microservices. Next we are going to create one discovery service. Now while creating the config service, we are going to use Spring Cloud Config server which is a dependency we are going to use. With that we are going to create this config microservice. Next we are going to use a discovery using Eureka, and this is the discovery service which will act as a service registry to which all other microservices will get registered. Now next we are going to use create some client microservices like customer is there which is using the mysql database, and again we are going to create the order microservice which is using some different database which is H2 database. Next like our there is a inter-service communication, like our order service will give a call to the customer service, and it is not giving a direct call to the customer service, otherwise there will be a hard coupling inside these two. So the basis of microservices is to provide the loose coupling, and for that we are going to use a Feign client. Like Feign client is best for synchronous communication, and that is what we are going to use in this. Let's say in case order service is calling a customer service, and at certain point of time if the customer service goes down, then what will happen? Like in that case we are going to show the proper fallback method using the Resilience4j and circuit breaker methodologies which are available, and this is the best approach we can use to show the fallback method with some proper message. Next, in order if any customer service or order service throws any exceptions, to handle all those exception scenarios, we are going to use RestControllerAdvice and problem detail, which has introduced in new versions of a Spring Boot. So these are the some latest app classes we are going to use to handle the exception in a global way. So we are going to create a global exception handler class. In that we are going to mention exception handler methods for all the to cover all the methods which will throw the exceptions. Next, we are going to create our API gateway service using Spring Cloud Gateway, and all these microservices will register with the discovery service, so that they will get discovered by the discovery service. So when a client make a call, when the request when a request is made, at that time that will get intercepted by the API gateway. API gateway will query the discovery service to find out what next service the request should route to, and finally the API gateway, based on the IP address and port number which it has received from the discovery service, it will route the request to the particular target microservice. This is how the complete flow is going to work, and all these important features we are going to implement from scratch in this video. And one more important thing, I will request you all to please watch this from start to end, because while implementing all these features, at times we need to resolve the error set prompt going back and forth among these microservices. So I just want I don't want you to miss any step in between, because it's a complete feature, all the features we are going to implement from scratch, and it's better to watch this from start to end and implement all the features one by one. You will get a kind of confidence once you follow each and every step. And in case if you stuck at some point of time at some microservice or while implementing any feature or functionality, I am there to help you out, because I am anyway going to share the code link and the git config repository link as well, so that if you are stuck at any point of time, you can download the code and download the git repositories and try it out by your own and test the result. But I will request you to please try it out by your own step by step. And finally, please do not forget to like, subscribe and share, and I want your continued support to grow my channel. Please do not forget to like and share and subscribe. So let us first create our config service. And as you know that our config service has a dependency on git repository. So first we need to create a git repository. Inside that we need to create different configuration files. So let us create a git repository on the GitHub site. So this is the GitHub URL. Now let us create on this new button to create a new repository, and here you can give a name to your repository, we can give config.repo. You can choose any name which is available, or you can type, and you can click on create repository, and we can see we have created a repository successfully with name config-repo. Now let us create the config files inside that. So this is the link, creating a new file. We can click on that, and here we can create different configuration file. First we can create our application.yaml. This file will contain the global configuration stuff. So let us set some global configuration inside this, global message we can set, which is welcome to global microservices environment. So this is the global message we have set. Next we are going to set some logging. We can say level, and after that we can set some root level as an info for global, and next we can set some health check related properties, let's say management. Next we can set endpoints. Inside that we can choose web, exposure, and next we can set like includes, and inside that we can add attributes like health, info and refresh as a comma separated. Next, like we can add endpoint. For this we can add health and we can add show details as well, and for this we can set always. So this is the global configuration content we have set. So we need to commit the changes so that it will be permanent inside this global configuration file. So what all change we have made, like this is the global message we have set, this is the logging level, this is for health check related management endpoints health check we have set for health, info and refresh. So this is for global configuration. We have created one application.yaml file. Similar way we can create one more file. So we can create our service level file configuration. So for that we can name, like we are going to create customer hyphen service, and this is the default file we can create for customer service. And what content it will have, like we need to add, this is the base config file, so we can add Spring, like it will have application name, and we can give a name like it's a customer hyphen service. What next we can use, like we need to use a data source, set some data source related properties. We can set URL, and for this we are going to use MySQL, so we need to add URL for MySQL related URL, specific URL like this one, you can say localhost and 3306/. Here we can give our database name. Let's say we can add customer underscore master, and here next we can add driver, like driver class name, and here we can give com.mysql.cj.jdbc dot. This is the MySQL specific driver. For each database it has its own driver. So for MySQL we have set MySQL related driver. Now let us add JPA stuff, and here is our Hibernate, and we can set DDL auto as an update. So this is the default file, so we can set none, and we can override this to auto in our environment specific files. So let us keep none and show SQL. Basically it will show SQL executed queries inside our console, so we can set it false initially and we can save it. So we need to commit the changes. So we have created one global configuration. Next we have created one base config for service specific base config file. Now let us create environment specific configuration files as well. Now let us create one more file, like we can name it like it's customer hyphen service hyphen dev.yaml file. This is specific to dev, and in herein we can override the global message. If we want, we can override the global message. So let us override so that it will be have some meaningful, like it is welcome to. We can test it as well, how it overrides the messages, like welcome to customer service dev environment, as this is the environment specific global message. Now here we need to set some port, and let us add 8081 as a port for this one, this service, or we can keep 8081 for the config server and 8082 for service discovery, or 8082 we can set it here. Next, what we can set, like we can set some message like this is hello from dev. So this is the dev environment specific message. Now let us add some. So this message is a global message, and this is the message which is environment specific. Okay, we can override the global message as well as we can set the environment specific messages as well. Now let us add Spring data source and URL, and for URL, like we can add. So let me open it one more tab. So we can copy the stuff from this file. So this is the URL, and we need to copy the same. Now as this is the database, customer, we can say custdb, and this is related to the dev, or cust_dev. This is the dev specific database we are pointing this application to, or we have created dev specific database, environment specific. This is the dev environment, and we have set customer database to that environment. Now let us add username, which is let's say here we can set some username. So let me put some username, default username which we have set. So you can choose any username, password. Next we can add JPA, and here we can set Hibernate, or we can copy this Hibernate related stuff, or entire JPA we can copy and make some changes as per we want. And here instead of DDL-auto we can choose update now, because this is a dev environment specific and we want to change it to update and show SQL as a true. Now we can commit the changes. Now we have created our customer service dev environment. Now similar way we can copy this stuff and we can create one more file for production environment. So let us add one new file with name like customer-service, and here we can say prod.yaml. We can create a test or staging environment file as well, but for now we are keeping only we are testing only two environments, dev and production. If you want, you can add one more environment. Now let us make some changes, like instead of dev we can say it's a production environment. Let us change the port number, and this is the message environment specific, and this is from production. And the database, we need to create one separate database for production, and we can keep rest of the thing as is, and we can commit the change. So this is for, we can add this one description like it's a prod database, and we can commit the changes. Now we have these many files. Similar way, we are going to create order service. So let us create order service related files as well. So first we can copy the details from this to create the order service. Now let us create a new file with name order-service, This is the service specific default file we are going to create first, and this is the content, and here we need to change the content because this is the order service, and accordingly we need to make the changes. Here we can use order master, and here we can keep as is, and we can commit the changes. Now similar way we need to create one div for order service. Now let us add one more config file. You can say order hyphen service, and this is the div environment specific file, and here we can make some changes. It's order service div environment, and here port name we can change 8084. This is from div or hello from order div, and this is the customer. The database should be order div, and the rest of the things we can keep as is. Can commit the change. Now let us create one more file for production for order service. So we can copy this existing stuff, and let us create one more file with name like order hyphen service hyphen prod.yaml, and here we can make some changes like it should be order service prod environment, and here port name we can change to 8085 and hello from order prod, and this is the order prod, and we can commit the changes. Seems good. Now we have everything ready. Like we have, this is the global application which will contain the global messages which are applicable to all the microservices and all the environments, like be it dev, stage, test, or UAT or production. It will applicable to all the environment. This is the development environment specific file, and this is the production environment specific file, and these two are environment specific files, and this one is a customer microservice specific default configuration file. Similar way we have two files for order microservice which are environment specific, and one configuration file which is order microservice specific file. So we are done with our configuration stuff. We have created successfully on the Git repository. Now let us create our config service on the using Spring Boot. So let us open our Spring Boot suite. Let me first create our projects. We can say microservices all features. So this is the folder we have created. We can copy it, and inside that we can create our project. So let us open the STS from here, and here we can paste this path. Now here we have successfully opened the STS. Now let us choose this option, create new Spring Starter project, and here we can give our project name, which is config-service. This is the service which will sit in between client microservices and Git repository, and when the client microservices ask for the configuration, it will fetch the configuration details from the Git repository and send back to the client microservice. What are our client microservices? Which are our customer service and order service. These are two client microservices. Now let us set Maven. Here is a 21 as a Java version, and here we can set it's a config, and this is the, you can say, config server project with for Spring Boot, and here we can set package as in config. can click on next. Here we need to add the dependency. We can add Spring Web. Next we need to add, like, it should be config server, so let us add config server. Spring Cloud config server we are going to use. Next we need to add actuator, so Spring Boot actuator, and this much is enough. Or we need to add like a Netflix Eureka client, so we can add it later on as well once we create our service discovery. So this much is enough. We can click on next and finish. Now to make it as an like config server, to create it as a config server, we need to add some annotation, like here we need to add enable config server annotation. We need to add, so that Spring Boot will know that this microservice will act as an config server. Now this much is enough. Now let us build our application. Okay, so here we can comment out the text for now. Okay, save it. Now let us rebuild it. Now we can see build is success. Now let us run it. Okay, so we need to set the get URI. So for that we can do, like, we can delete this application.properties file and we can create one application.yaml file inside this. We can use application.yaml or application.properties, both will do fine. Now here we can add server.port, and for this we can use $. Next, like, we are going to add some spring.cloud.config.server.git, and here we need to mention URI. So this we need to set, and for this we can add HTTP. So let me copy our Git repo. So this is the Git repo. We can copy and add it at here. HTTPS GitHub, and this is our Git repo. Seems good. Next we can add, like, clone on start, which is true. Let me remove this indentation error. Seems good. Now we can save it. With this we are done with our configuration for the config service. Now let me check it once, like, if we have added this annotation. Okay, seems good. Now let me rebuild it again. Now we can in our client microservices we can add a client for this config server, like what will be the clients, like customer service and order service will be client for this config server. So we can access the configuration from the Git repository with the help of this config server. Now let me run it using Spring Boot. Now it has successfully started on double it. Now let us check test through the postman. Like this is the get, and we can use HTTP. Let me use this one. Like ours is a customer hyphen service. Okay, and here we can use body raw JSON. Now let me take you to this GitHub. Now this is our customer service. This is the default base URL, and it has this configuration. So let me show you how it will. If I select default, it should show the default customer service. Customer microservice specific configuration, it should fetch. Seems good. Now the profile is default, and what all things we have set inside default, these are all it is showing. Okay, so dd lato none and all. Okay, seems good. So it has successfully fetched the default through the config server. Now let us check for dev environment specific. Now it will access the environment specific, fetch the environment specific configuration details, like we have set it for dev for customer service. Seems good. Similar way, if we want to check for prod, it will fetch the prod details as well. This is the prod profile or profile we have set, and this is the customer service, and these are some prod related data. And alongside it will fetch this is the prod environment, and this is the customer microservice specific environment, and this is the global environment configuration it will fetch. Okay, fine. So this is about how the config server will fetch service specific data, environment specific configuration data based on what profile we are passing in the URL. Now we have successfully created config service, which will access the configuration from the Git repository which we have created on the GitHub, and we have created a configuration for customer microservice and order service, and for different environments like dev and prod each. Now let us create our discovery service. Like this is the discovery service using Netflix Eureka we are going to create, to which our customer service and order service will get registered on startup, and our config server will also get registered with this discovery service. Now let us create that service. This is the config service. Now let us create new project, Spring Starter project with name discovery service. We can select Maven, and here group as a com.discovery. Seems good. Now we can click on next button, and here we can add dependencies for this one. Like we need Spring Web, and this is going to act as a Eureka server. Like we can add, we need to add this dependency for Eureka server. We need to add actuator, and like we need to add Spring Cloud config. So this will be the config client for the config server, like config Spring Cloud config server. So these many dependencies enough. We can click on next and finish. Now this is our discovery service. Now first thing we can do, like here we need to enable the annotation like it is. This is the Eureka server. This service will act as a service discovery, so this annotation is needed. Next thing, like we can remove this file application.properties, and we can create a new file with name application.yaml. Now let us add some entries inside this. Here we can add our this is the server.port, which is by default 8761 for Eureka service. Next, we can add our application name, spring.application.name. Which is, you can say, discovery-service, and we can add here, like we can add Eureka client, and this is for register with Eureka. We can make it false, and there is one more property we can add, like fetch registry, which is false again. Now here we can correct the indentation, and we can save it. Now this register with Eureka is false because this service is itself acting as a service registry. Hence we do not need to register it with any other instance, and fetch registry is again false. Now we can save it. Now apart from this, like we need to add, so this much is enough, and we can save it. Now let me stop this service. Now this is the config service. Now the config service, and this is the discovery service. Now for the config service will be client for this discovery service. For this we need to add one dependency. Like here we can add that dependency. We can copy this and edit it here, and that is from Spring Cloud. This is going to be a Netflix Eureka client. Spring Cloud Starter Netflix Eureka client to the our discovery service. This service is the first client. We can save it. What next we need to do? Like we need to add one annotation. It here. Like we can add enable discovery client, and we can save it. Now this is the YAML file, and here we can add one more thing, like here we can add Spring application name, let's say application and name, and this is the, we can say, config service. Next important thing, like here this is going to be act as a Eureka client to the Eureka server, so we need to add one entry for that, like Eureka, you can say client, and what is the service URL for this one, and we can mention the default zone, which is HTTP localhost 8761/Eureka. So this is the server, your discovery service, to which this client will get registered with. We can resolve these errors. and we can save it. It should be application name. Can save it. Now with this we are done. Now let us run it and check how it goes. First we can build this discovery service and run that. Okay, so we need to add one more thing for the client. Like here we need to add import to the client service, discovery service, because this discovery service is a client for the config server. Okay, config server. So for that we need to mention what is the config server. So let us add one config it here. This is the application, and below this we can add config, and here is the import, and here we can add optional config server. We can add HTTP localhost double it. Now let us resolve this error. Seems good. Now let me build it again. Now it's a build success. Now let us, it's a build success. Now let us run it. Now it has started successfully on port 8761. Now let us build it. And before we run, our discovery service is running. So let us check on the URL for this one. Like what is the URL for discovery service? So this is the default zone. So we can copy this URL and check how it is showing. Now it is showing this is the dashboard for Eureka server, and it is showing like there are no instance running or registered with this Eureka server. Now let us, we have built it, this is the config server we have built, which is client to the Eureka server. So let us run it and check whether it is showing the running instance which are registered with the Eureka server. Seems good. Now let us check it again. Now it is showing the config service which is registered with the Eureka server. Seems good. Now with this, like our discovery is working, and we have client which is config service to the discovery service, and it is successfully showing on the dashboard Eureka. Now let us do one thing, like this is common to all the microservices. So this is the config service which is client to the Eureka. So this is common to all the services. So we can put it inside our Git repository for the application.yaml file. So let me open, and this is the application.yaml. Now let me modify it, and we have added it here because this is applicable to all the services. Now let us restart both the services and check how it works. First we can run the discovery service, and here we can check the dashboard. Now it is not showing any instances because we have not run the config service. Now let us run it. We can refresh. Seems good. Now the config service is registered. So what change we have done? Like instead of adding in each and every microservice to register the Eureka server, we have added this code which is common to all microservices into global configuration, which is application.yaml. This way we can make use of configuration for common stuff or global stuff as well. Now let us create the required databases for these microservices. So let us note down what all databases we have mentioned. So this is for dev environment customer database. Let me note down somewhere so that we can create all these databases and be ready. This is the cust prod. This is the customer master for default one, or we can keep the default one like for dev and this as the same. So let me check it here. Instead of customer dev, we can copy this part and we can keep the same like customer master. Let me edit it. So that we need to create only two databases, one for dev and one for prod. We can commit the change. Next is for, it is similar. Next is for order dev, order prod, and for here is a order master. Okay, so let us edit this. We can copy it and we can use same for order dev as well. So for order service, which is a default one, like this is the default order service which is using order master, and this is the environment specific dev order service. For that we are using the same database. So for these two services we are using same database, and for production we are using order prod. So let us note down these two as well, order master and order prod. Now we have replaced order dev with order master, customer master. So we need to create these many databases. Let me check the production database. It's a cust prod. Okay, fine. Now let us create these four databases. So this is our PHP myadmin. So here we can click on new button, and here we can create a database. Let me create the customer master first, and we can click on create. Seems good. Now the customer master database is created. Similar way we can create customer prod. So we are not going to create the table. We will let our application create the table through entity. So here we can create a new database, cust prod, and we can create. Now for these two services like order, for order we are going to use H2 database, order microservice, and for customer microservice we are going to use MySQL database. So what we have done, we don't need to create four databases because these are two H2 database which will get created on the fly whenever we start our application, because H2 database is in-memory database. It will be created as soon as we create the application, and it will not retain the data once we close the application. So we need to create these two databases only, and we have successfully created. This is the customer master for dev and customer service, and this is the customer prod for for production environment. Now we have successfully created service discovery, and we have registered our config service with discovery service. Let us resolve this error. Here we can replace HTTP with HTTPS, and we can save it. Now let us keep it running. So we can run it using Spring Boot app, and this we can run it, both the services we can keep on running. Now let us check the dashboard of Eureka. Seems good. The config services are registered. Now next we can create the clients microservices. First we can create our customer microservice. So here we can give customer -service, and we can change the group name as a customer, and this is the customer service. And we can click on next. Now here we need to add what all dependency we are going to use, like we need Spring Web, we need actuator, we are going to use MySQL. Next we are going to use Eureka discovery client, because this is the client microservice, and we are going to use config. So this should be the config client to the Spring Cloud config server. So we need to add this as well, and we need to add Spring Data JPA, and we can use Lombac as well. So this much dependency is enough. So let us cross check it once if we need anything else apart from this. So we have added MySQL connector or driver, Lombac dependency, and everything is in place. Now this much is enough to create our customer service. Now we can click on next and click on finish. Now first thing, we can delete this application.properties file, and we are going to create one new file, YAML file, with name like application.yaml, and here we can add, like it's a spring. We can add the application name, and this is the customer service. So next, like we can add config, and we need to add import for this one, and which is like, so we can copy this stuff from discovery as well, so that will do. So this is our, so this part we can add. So this will tell like it is going to use config server for configuration from Git repository. What next we need to add, like we need to tell what profile we are going to use. So let us set one profile and mention as an dev profile. Activate, we need to activate the profile, active profile. What is the active profile? That is dev. And here we can correct the indentation. That's it. Now there should be the, we need to add health check related URL, like which is management endpoints web explorer include and refresh. So here for customer, so this is the customer service, and here we can override the health check related, like we can say it's management dot endpoint dot web dot, we can say exposure, and we have this include. And here we can use the refresh. So we have set this management into config file in repository level. So what we are going to do, like we are going to override this to refresh only. Earlier there were 2-3 values at this place, so we have replaced it, overridden it. So this should be it, this level. We need to format it accordingly so that there should not be any error. Seems good. We are done with config. Now what next we can do, like let us create one entity packages. What all packages we are going to use. So first of all, we need to add like annotations to the classes, like this is our service customer service application, which is the main class. Now we need to make it like a discovery. It should act as a discovery client. So we need to add this annotation and we can save it. Now let us create the packages. What all packages we are going to create. First we are going to create entity. Next we are going to create a repository. Next like service. And finally we can create one controller package. So we can create the exception package as well in this for this service, but we are going to cover the exception in our order service, and therein also we are going to cover the circuit breaker resilience using the Resilience4j annotation, and exception handling. That part we are going to cover in order microservice. And referring that exception related code you can add into the customer service as well, but right now we are not adding into the customer service because the video will become a longer if we add in each and every service. But ideally it should be added in each and every service, the exception handling and all, and that part we are going to cover in order service. Now let us create the entity first. So this is the class, like we can create customer and we can finish. Now for this customer we can add like all our constructors at the rate no our constructors. So these are all Lombak related dependency we are going to add. It's a builder. And we can add data as well, or entity. Entity is a main because this is going to be a entity, and here we can add at the rate data for this class. That's it. Now we can define what all properties we are going to use, like we are going to use private long ID. Next we are going to use private, like it's a name of the customer. Next we are going, let me copy it, and this is the one. First is the name, next is the email, and finally we can add, let's say location, and we can save it. Now let us create the getter setters. With Lombac we do not need to create the explicit getter setters, but we need to plug in the Lombac jar, and after that we do not need to create the explicit getter setters. But for now we can create the getter setters explicitly for all these. And we can save it. So with this we are done with our entity creation with customer, and this has directly mapped with our database, and for this we need to add ID annotation, and we need to mention how it should increment the ID using this like generation using this generation value. Like it should be generated value, and inside that we can add what is the strategy we are going to use to create the auto increment. Like we can use generation type, it should be generation type dot auto. So this is the strategy which we are going to use to auto increment this ID part for this customer entity, and this customer entity is directly mapped with the customer table which is inside our customer database. Seems good. Now let us create the repository part. From here we can create the interface, because the repository it's an interface, so we can name it like customer repository, and here we can add a stereotype which is a repository, and it should extends JPA repository, and which has class like customer entity, and the data type of ID like it's a long, and we can add import for all these. So with this we are done with our JPA repository or repository creation for customer. So if you want we can add like, so this much is enough, and we can save it. Now let us create the service interface. So for this we can create the interface for customer service with name customer service, and we can mention what all methods we are going to use. Like first is it should return the list of customer, and we can mention fetch all customers. Next we can add one method to create customer, and here we need to pass the input customer as a new customer to be created. Can add import for this, we can save it. Now similar way we can add one more method which will return the customer based on the customer ID, and here it should return the optional, and we can say fetch customer or get customer by ID, and here we need to pass long ID for the customer. So for this ID it will fetch the customer. Instead of fetch we can say get customer, will seems looks appropriate. This is optional. Now 3 methods we have covered. Now similar way we can create one more method which will update the customer. So this is the update method, and for update method we need to pass the ID as well, against which we are going to update this customer. And finally we are going to delete the customer. So this method again we are going to cover, like this is the delete customer, and for this we just need to add ID which is enough to delete any customer. So with this we are done with our customer service interface. Now let us create implement a class for this interface with name like customer service IMPL, and we can add stereotype which is the service for this one, and it should implement our customer service interface. Now let us add import for all these, and let us implement all the unimplemented methods with this. Now it has provide the default implementation for all the methods which are available inside customer service. Now let us auto wire the repository inside this service, because this is going to call the methods which are available on the repository. So this is the customer repository, and we can save it. Let us add import for all this. Now let us create one public constructor for this service IMPL, inside which we are going to add this customer repository, and we are going to set like this dot customer repository. For this we can initialize it with this one, and we can save it. Now we are done with the acquiring the customer repository and creating a constructor to initialize this customer repository. Now let us provide the implementation for all these methods. Now it should return. We are going to use customer repository and call the respective method on this customer repository, like find all. So this is the find all. We can complete this and we can save it. Similar way here we can return we can say customer repository dot find by ID, and here we are passing this ID. Here we are going to call save method on this, and we are going to pass this new customer to be created inside MySQL database. And again the same we can repeat for this one service method. Now for updating for update method we need to write some other logic, like what we can do. First of all, let me comment it out. First of all, for this ID we need to extract the existing object which is available inside database. Like let's say here we have optional customer, and for this we can say it's a optional customer optional, and we are going to call the get method for this one. Like we can pass the ID to get the respective optional object, and after this we are going to check. So here for customer object we can use some customer object, initialize it with null initially, and here we can check like if customer optional is not equal to, or we can say we can call the is present method which is there on this one. If it is present, in that case we are going to call set the customer object, and we are going to call the get method on this optional, so that it will return the particular not this is the optional. We should call get method on this optional, so that it will return the customer object. Now we can call the other methods like for update. Now here we need to, sorry, this is the delete customer, yes. Now for this delete customer, first we have extracted this optional. Now if it has a customer object, we can get this and we can pass this to customer repository to delete the object. Like we can add delete method and here we can pass this customer object. Now here we can set one more method, like this is the string of string message we are going to return on successful or post deletion. So we can say it's a delete message and initially it's a blank, or we can say null. Now here we can set some message for delete message, like customer successfully deleted for ID, and here we are going to pass the ID. So for deleting the customer, just ID is enough. Okay, so this is the delete customer method, just passing ID is enough. So delete customer successfully deleted for ID, this one, and finally we need to return the message which is at here. We can return this delete message, and here its return type should be string because it is going to return string, and the same method signature we need to mention inside this customer service for delete message. That's it. Now we have added successfully the delete customer in service. Similar way we need to add inside our update method. So update method have two attributes, parameters, customer, input customer and ID. So for this ID we can return the customer optional, and we can say instead of delete message we do not need to set any message for update, so it will directly return the customer object. Now here we have this customer object. Now here we need to set the values. We have just extracted the customer object which is available for this ID. Now what we can do, we can set the values to this customer object from the input object, input bean. So let's say set name, and this is our input customer object with the new values. So we can call get name. So we can copy this customer object, set email, and we can say new customer dot get email dot set location, and we can say new customer dot get location. This much is enough, and ID we do not need to set because while updating the customer, a customer is existed, that means ID is there. So we do not need to set the ID. ID is common to input object as well as the object which we have retrieved from the database. Now finally we need to call return and our repository, and here we can pass the message like save, and we need to pass this customer object which has new values to which we need to update into the database. That's it about the service implementation part we are done with. Now let us create the controller for all these methods and check how it goes. Now let me create one class with name customer controller. Now this customer controller we need to add stereotype as an race controller. This is the annotation we can use, and here we can use auto add and we can use private, and we are going to use customer service. We are going to inject it because we are going to call respective methods which are available in the customer service. Now let us add the endpoints. First we can add get mapping, and here we can mention what is the path for this one, like this is the customers, and here we are going to use response entity and actual return type is a list of customer, and the method name like we can say fetch all customers, and we do not need to pass any request params because it is just a get method which will return all the customers available on the database. Now here we are going to return a response entity. We can use .ok, and inside that we can wrap call the method like fetch all customers on the customer service. That's it. We need to add import for all these. Yes, this is for a get mapping which will return all the customers which are available inside database for this customer service. Now let us create one more endpoint which will create a new customers into the database. For that we are going to use a post mapping, and here it should return a individual customer which has created into the database, and here we can change the name like create customer. And for creating a customer we need to pass the input customer which we need to pass into the database or create a new customer. For that we can use request body annotation, and here we can say it's a customer and this is the new customer which we are going to create. Now we can call the method, respective method to create customer, like we have create customer and this is the new customer we are going to pass, and we can save it. So this is the post mapping method with which we are going to create a new customer into the database. Now similar way we can create one more get mapping. So let me add put mapping first. This is the post mapping to update the customer into the database. So we need to add, first we need to change this mapping, like this should be put mapping or patch mapping for updation, and here we can pass the respective ID for the customer, and here return type is fine. Now we need to change the method, like it should be update customer, and along with the request body we need to pass, like here we can say it's a customer which is input customer, existing customer, we can say existing cust, or updated cust, we can say customer, and here we can add one more, like it should be. So let me close this window. Here we can add path variable, and inside which we can add it should take long ID. That's it. And here we are going to pass this ID as well along with the updated customer which we are going to update into the database. We need to add import for put mapping. That's it. So this method basically, so here we need to call respective method which is update customer, we can save it. This method, put mapping method, will basically update the existing customer with new values. It will update into the database. Now let us create one more method endpoint which will return the customer based on the customer ID. So we can pass the ID it here, and it should return the customer, so particular customer, and here it should return individual customer which the return type is optional for this, and here we can say get customer by ID, and here we need to pass the particular ID for against which we are going to fetch the customer. We can say we can call the respective method which is available, like get customer by ID, and here we are going to pass this ID. That's it. We need to add import for optional. Seems good. Now we can save it. Now we have all the controller endpoints we have just created. Now the only thing we need to do, like we are done with our coding part, now we need to test all our endpoints. So let us do that. Now so let us check the YAML file. So we have config server, and apart from that, this should be the discovery client. So we have added this here. That's it. Now let us run this, build this customer service and check how it goes. Let us add Maven install. Now the test is failing. Okay, so let me comment out this test class for the time being. And let us rebuild it again. Now let us build a success. Now let us run it using Spring Boot app. Okay, so it is showing that this is the origin active on profile, Spring config active on profile, instead of using profiles, Spring profiles active. So let us cross check it once how it should be. Spring profiles active dev, instead of that so this is our application.yaml file. Now it is showing this error, Spring profiles. That means so let me open the customer service from here, which is like profiles imported from the local, and profile, activated profile, it is showing the error too. Like this is our profiles and this is the active. Now if you observe carefully, it is showing the different color because there is no space, due to which this is the formatting error will be considered. If we give space, the color will get changed, and now it is okay. It seems good. Now we can save it. There was only space was not there, due to which it was giving this error. Now let us rebuild it again. We can close this. Seems good. Now let us run it using run as Spring Boot app. Now it has successfully run on port like it's 8082. Now let us check whether it is registered with the Eureka server or not. Right now, yes, seems good. Now it is showing 2 instances which are registered with the Eureka service registry. Like first is the config service and other is the customer service. Seems good. So far so good. Now let us test our APIs. Now here let me copy this URL and I can open one new. We can choose raw and here JSON consent. Right now it is showing the empty list because we have not added any data to the database. So let us copy one data and let us use post method it here. Now ID we do not need to pass, it will auto create it and increment it. So let us post it. Seems good. Now it has created one record with this Ajay. Now let me add Sachin as well, and this is the Sachin, and let's say he is from Mumbai. Seems good. It is auto incrementing the ID, and this is the second record we have added successfully. If we cross check by calling the get method, it will show the 2 records, which is as expected. If we want to check for passing the ID, it should show only the second ID. If we want to check for first ID, it should show first record for the ID, given ID, which is 1. Similar way, if you want to modify any record, like let's say we can extract second record, and if you want to modify this second record, instead of Sachin, we can add, like let's say Kevin, from Paris. And for we are going to modify this, so we can use put method or patch method, but we have coded for put method, so we can select the put method and send it. Seems good. We can see the second ID is updated successfully. Now if we cross check by calling the get method for all the IDs, so it will show the second record with updated values. Seems good now. So let us try by calling the delete method for the second ID and check how it goes. We do not need to pass this body for delete method, and get method we do not need to pass body, only post and put method we need to pass the body. Now let us check. Method not allowed, delete. Okay, so there is a mistake in our code. So let us check what is that mistake. We have copied the put mapping, get mapping is there. Okay, so basically this is, sorry, not get mapping. So basically we have not added the endpoint for delete mapping. This is the update and this is the get by ID. Let us add the delete mapping. That's why it is calling, saying that method is not existed. So we can add delete mapping, ID as is, and here we can say it should be delete customer. And for deleting the customer, we just need to pass the ID, which is enough. And here we can pass the ID to the respective method of the customer service, which is delete customer. What is the method? Delete customer. Okay, and we can add import for this annotation, and it should return the string as a data type, not the customer. We can save it, and our delete customer method is already available inside service, so we have added this. Now we can simply save and build it again and check how it goes. Now okay, we can save it. Now let us check without whether it is auto building as such. Like let me call, no, we need to build it. So we can first install it to build it with new code, and now we can run it. We have tested all the methods. Now we just need to test our delete method and everything will be good. Now let us test. First we can call the get method and check whether it is showing the 2 records successfully, because we have rebuilt it. Seems good. Now we can directly call the delete method and passing the second ID to delete. Seems good. Customer successfully deleted for ID second. Now if you call the get method, it here for all the customers, it will show only 1 record, because second record we have just deleted. With this, all our APIs is working fine. Delete, post, put and get by ID, all these APIs are working fine, and we have tested successfully. With this, like we have successfully created our customer service and tested all our endpoints. Now we have tested our customer service endpoints. Now we are actually going to add the exception handling. Earlier we have decided that we are going to handle exception in order service, but now we have already added the endpoints with all the CRUD operations. So it is better to add the exception handling in this customer service itself. Now let us create one dedicated folder for exception handling it here. not at here. We are inside com.customer. We can create one package with name exception. Inside that, we are going to decide what all exceptions our application is going to be thrown. Like we can use customer already exist exception. So this is the first exception which will be thrown whenever we are going to create any new customer, which will be so let's say if we are going to create a new customer with some same email ID, at that time it should throw customer already exist exception. Now for that we need to extend this with runtime exception. Next we are going to add one constructor for this public customer already existed, and here we are going to add some string email. For this email we are going to send the message. We need to call super, and here we can say customer already exist, and here we can add customer already exist for we can say customer with email, and here we can add this email, and we can say already exist. So this is the message which will be thrown. Exception with message will be thrown in case the customer is already existed for this email ID. Now similar way we can create one more exception, custom exception, which will be thrown in case if we are going to access the customer which is not existed into the database. A customer not found exception. Likewise, we can create as many exception as we want, considering what all exception our application will be thrown. Now we can consider these two exceptions and see how we can handle these tools in our application. Now here let us change this message. Here it should pass long ID because we are going to access the customer for this ID, and here it is showing customer not found for ID, and this is the ID for which customer is not there. And we can remove this part and we can save it. Now we have two custom exceptions. Now we need to add one global handler exception class which will handle all the exceptions globally. Now let us create that using class global exception handler. And this is the best way to handle the exceptions by using the RestControllerAdvice. So with this we can handle all the global exceptions, and which is the recommended approach to handle the exceptions with new way. RestControllerAdvice, we need to add import for this one, and inside that we are going to mention all the exception handlers, which will handle the exceptions. Now here we can say we need to mention this exception, what exception it is going to handle. So we can copy this exception and we can let us handle the first customer not found, and accordingly we can add for rest of the exceptions. Now this is the customer not found exception dot class, we can say, and here we can add one public method which will handle this. This should return the response entity. Inside that we are going to use the problem details. So this is the new class has been introduced for exception, specific to exception. We can use that, and this is available in this is the newly approach which is available in Spring Boot 3 and latest Java versions. This class has various properties we can set in case of exception handler. Now customer not found exception, this is the method which it will handle, and we can copy the customer not found exception and pass inside this one. This is the exception. Inside that, first we can create one problem. This is the problem detail, not problem details. Make sure you are using the appropriate one. Problem details. This is the problem details, and we are going to use like for status, and here we are going to pass http status dot not found. Now this is the first thing we have done. Like we need to import this, which is a better way. We can import problem details, and we can remove this part, and here this is the problem details. Now let us set the other properties which are available inside this. Like we can set title, and here we can say for title you can say customer not found. So this is the title. Similar way we can set some details, and here we can say exception dot get message. It will show the details. Next we are going to set property, and here we are going to set property like, let's say we can copy this status as is, and next we need to pass like after that we are not now for property we can set different properties. Like let's say I am going to set the timestamp, and for that we can set like instant.now. Similar way finally we can set problem. Now this much is enough. Now we can return our problem details, and finally we are going to return response, like response entity, and for this we are going to set the status. For status we are going to add not found, and here we are going to add body. Inside body we are going to set the problem details. And that's it. What we have done to handle this customer not found exception, we have created that exception, and we have created one handler, exception handler method, which will handle that exception inside our global RestControllerAdvice. Now this is for customer not found. Customer not found. Similar way we can create one more exception handler for customer not existed. So this already existed. So this is the another exception we need to handle in another method. Like this is the exception class, and here we can say handle customer already exist. Handle customer already exist, and here we can add the exception. Now here we can set there should be already existed. What is the, or we can say conflict. This status is appropriate, and here the message we can say customer already exist. So this exception is going to be thrown whenever we are going to create a new customer with the same ID. Next, this is fine. Timestamp is again fine, and here we can set conflict. That's it. So we are done with our second exception handler. Similar way we can create one more exception handler, which is handling the generic exceptions. If the exception is not belong to customer not found and customer already exist exception, if the exception thrown is not in this category, then finally it should handle the exception which is a generic category. So this is the exception dot class, and here we can say handle generic exception or generic errors we can say, which will be fine. And here which is a type of, can copy this. This is the generic exception, and same way we are going to state some message, like it can be like internal server error kind of, and here we can say same message we can set like internal server error, and same, this is the same error we are going to set, and we are done with all the exception handling. Now we are going to only test all this, so let us build it. So we have everything in place, like exception handler is there, and we have created custom exceptions as well. Now let me stop the running service, which is a customer service. Now though we have added all this, but we have not thrown the exception, so that part we need to handle, and we have this service impl classes wherein we need to throw the exception, then only we can see the exception which is thrown from this one. Now for this we can go to our service class, from where we are going to throw the exception. Now first for the ID, if for this ID, like we can copy this part, and here we are going to say which is a optional customer, and here we can say if we can copy this part and say if optional customer dot is empty, in that case it should throw new customer not found exception, and for this we are going to pass this ID. Or else if there is no exception, in that case we are going to return the optional customer, which is a healthy path scenario. That's it, and we can save it. Similar way, for creating a new customer with the same email ID, we need to handle this exception. So for this, like we first need to add one method inside our repository part. Like let us go to our repository, and inside this we can add our method like customer get customer by email. This is the custom method we are going to pass, and here we are going to pass email as an input, and we can save it. So get customer by email inside repository. Now let us add one method inside service interface. So we have these many. Now similar way we can add one more method which will be returning the customer based on the email. Get customer by email, and here we are going to pass string email, and we can save it. Now let us add inside our one service method. We need to add implementation for this get customer by email. So let us add this default implementation. Inside this we can add return a repository method dot get customer by email. This is the method we are going to call. That's it. So we have the method for email inside service as well as inside repository. Now what we can do, like let us throw the exception from, let us see how we can throw the exception inside service. Now let us go to create customer method, which is it here. Now here what we can do for create customer, first we can get the customer. Now here we first need to get the customer. So for that what we can do, like we can call this method like this one, or we can call get customer by email, and here we are going to pass the new customer dot get email. So it will fetch the existing customer object for the email, for the email, and this customer object we are going to check like if customer is not equal to null, that means customer object is there, then we need to throw new exception like customer already exist exception, and here we need to pass the exception like this is the email we are going to pass. That's it for this. And finally, if the customer object is not null, that means the customer is not existed for this email ID. In that case, we are going to return we are going to create a new customer and return the newly created customer, and we can save it. That's it for this one. Now let us test it. Let me close the customer service which is already closed. Now let me rebuild it and check how it goes. We can build it. Now let me run it using run as Spring Boot app. Seems good. Now let me check with our dashboard, Eureka dashboard, whether both the services is running. Seems good. Customer service and config service. Now let us test it using the postman. Now this is our get method. Let us call the get method. Now we have only one record inside the database. If we want to check like this is our database, we have only one record. Now let us add the similar record. Let me add one more record and check how it goes. Now let us remove this part and let us add, let's say okay, Sandeep, and here we can add the Gmail for Sandeep, which is from Mumbai. Now let us add one more record. Now we can see the record is successfully added. Now if we try to add the same record, let's say with the post, now it is showing customer already exists, which seems to be good. Now it is showing that customer is already exist, which is good, and our exception is getting thrown as expected. Similar way, let us call the get method again and check how many records are there. Now we have two records. Okay, first is this one and another is this one. Now let us try to access something. Let me try to access the ID for 52, which is already existed. Now it is showing 52 customer for 52 ID. Now what if we try to access the ID which is not exist for the for that ID? If the customer is not existed, that time it should show throw the exception. Seems good. Now for the ID 9, there is no customer and it is showing the customer not found exception as expected. With this we have handled the exception handling successfully with Spring Boot 3 and using the RestControllerAdvice annotation. We have created one dedicated global exception handler for like this one using the RestControllerAdvice, and this is the latest approach we can use and which is a recommended way of handling the exceptions. With this we have successfully created customer service and implemented some endpoint and tested it using Postman. We have also implemented the exception handling part in this customer service and we have tested that as well. Now let us create the order service. In that we are going to implement some endpoints and we are also going to achieve the inter-service communication with the help of Feign client. Like we are going to create one endpoint in order service through which we are going to give a call to customer service and fetch some data, like we are going to ask for the customer for the given customer ID and customer service will give that customer for the given ID, and that customer we can see in order service. In case the customer service throws any exception, that exception we are going to handle in order service as well, so that it will propagate the exception from customer service to the order service. And finally we are also going to bring down the customer service and check whether how our circuit breaker handle, like there is a fallback method, how that fallback method will work in that particular scenario. All those scenarios we are going to implement. Now let us create the order service. Now here we can give a name like it's an order service. We can change the name. Here it's an order, and here we can give order. Click on next. Now here we need to add the dependency carefully, because we need to add a lot of dependency, because we are going to use Feign client, actuator and all. So first we can add actuator. Next we are going to add like Spring Data JPA. Next we are going to use Spring Web. Next we are going to use Resilience4j. Next we are going to use like this is the Spring Cloud config client. So this is the Spring Cloud config client. Next it should be the client for the Netflix Eureka. So Eureka Discovery client. Next we are going to use Feign client using this dependency. And finally we are going to use H2 database, because earlier for customer service we have used MySQL database. Now we are going to use H2 database, which is an in-memory database. And finally we are going to use Lomback. So this much dependency we need to add for this order service. Now we can click on next and finish. Now this is our order service. Now let us remove the existing default properties file, and let us create one new YAML file with name application YAML inside resource folder. Now here we can add like we are going to give some name like Spring application dot name, and here we can name it's an order -service. Next thing, like we are going to add profiles. We need to set some profile which is active profile. We can set dev. Next we are going to add config, and here we are going to add import, which is like we can copy that one from customer service. So we can copy this much. So we can align it later. So this much we have added. So let us add it, like let us remove this red part. This is the profile. Profile should be at config level. That's it, this much we have added. Now let us add some JPA properties as well. We can add h2, and we can say console dot enabled as a true. Next we can add path is to hyphen, we can add this console. Now let us add JPA properties as well, and here we can use hibernate. Next we are going to use DDL auto as an update, and we can say show SQL, which is true. It will show the executed queries in console. Next we can add database platform, and for this we can set the h2 database dialect, which is auth.hibernate.dialect.h2 dialect. So if it is a common for service specific to the order service, we can add this into our order service.yaml file, but for now we can keep it here. But as you if you find something which is common to specific service, then you can add that part into that service YAML file. Now let us add the resilience part. Resilience4j dot circuit breaker Now let us add this part later on, because we need to define the actual circuit breaker things. We need to implement that first, and then we can add that part into it here. After this we can add something related to health. Circuit breaker, and here we can mention enabled as true. Let us save it. Now let us define the resilience as well, so that everything will be in one place and we can focus on our Java coding part after this, once the configuration are done. So let us add resilience 4j. These are the properties you need to add exactly the same way, so that it will work. This is the instances, and inside that we can give some instance name, like let's say customer service circuit breaker, and here we can add register health indicator, which is true. Next we can add, there are other properties as well, like sliding window type. This should be count based. We have other types as well, but we can use count based. Next we can add sliding window size. For this we can set some 5 count. So I'm going to share you the Git repository config files in Git repository. So Git URL I'm going to share, and as well as I'm going to share you the code link as well. So don't worry about that. So here I'm just adding all these configuration details first, and after that we will check for all the coding possibilities what we need to add. Threshold we can set 50. I think in our circuit breaker I have described what is the meaning of all this. So here we can set minimum number of calls. Let us set it 5. We can set wait duration in open state. This is like there are open state, half open state, and closed state. Closed state means it is a healthy path scenario wherein the request is coming and it is allowing to pass in, and when it comes to open state, like it can remain in open state for 10 seconds. Here is the configuration we are setting, and we can set permitted number of calls in half open state. This means like once it comes it fails, like somehow if the other service which is dependent that is down, let's say in our case is if customer service, order service is calling the customer service, and in case the customer service is down, then it will go into the half open state, and after 10 seconds duration it will hit the customer service 2 times, and in this consecutive 2 attempt, if the customer service is still down, then in that case it will go into the open state, wherein it will block next or consecutive requests which are coming. In case if it has served the request in these 2 attempts and it has returned the response successfully, then it should go to the closed state, which is like in which it will allow all the traffic to go in. So this is about permitted number of calls. Similarly, let us add one last, like it's atomic transition from open to half open enabled. This is true. So this is for circuit breaker resilience properties we have set. Now let us see. Let me correct it, the indentation part, so that it should not show any red. This much is enough. Let us correct this as well. So we are done with this all the things. Now let us remove this part. Fine, here we can correct. Now let us add only logging level. or we can skip this part. This much is enough for us. Or we can add the login part and check, because we are going to debug it. io.github.resilience4j.circuit breaker, and here we can set as an debug. So that's it. Now let me correct this, and we are done with our configuration part. So I know that this is bit time consuming to correct all this, but there is no other option. So this is about all the configuration part we are done with. Why it is showing the red? Permitted number of calls in half open state. Number of calls in half open state, which is a 2. So here O should be capital. Yes, now we can save it. Seems good. So that is the problem. Like even if there is a spelling mistake, it will keep on showing the red. Now it is fine. So this is about the configuration part of order service, which plays a major role in this order service. Okay. Now let us create our packages. Like first we can add the annotations which are required for this. So we need to enable the Feign client, which we are going to use. Next we need to enable discovery client, because this service is going to act as a client service for the discovery service registry. Now this much is enough. Now let us create the packages which are required. First we can create entity package. Next we can create our repository. Next we are going to create service. Next controller. Next we can create a model. Let us see if we can use the model or not, but we can create it and be ready. And finally we can create there is a client we need to create as well, through which we are going to communicate with the customer service. And there is one more package which is for exception. Now in case any exception occurs from customer service, and if we are going to give a call from order service to customer service, and in case the customer service throws any exception, then we need to write some code which will handle that exception and show the proper message on the UI. Now let us create the entity class first. Let us create orders with name orders, and here we can copy the details like entity customer. So these all things we can copy. we can add private string name. Next we can add private string, like this should be double because price should be in double. And finally we are going to add like quantity, and we are going to add some customer ID as well, because we are going to access customer object from on basis of customer ID. So we need to define this customer ID as well, and we can save it. With this we are done with our order object. This is the entity we have created. Now let us create the getter status as well. Seems good. We are done with, and we can save it. We are done with entity. Now let us create a repository. Interface, it's an order repository. Extends JPA repository, and it should be entity orders, and it's an data type as a long for the primary key, and here we can see it's an repository stereotype. Okay, so by mistake we have created order repository inside customer, so we can cut this. Let us copy it and add it inside here, paste it. Okay, fine. Now let us delete this order repository which is not needed in customer service. Now let us import it. Seems good. With this we are done with our order repository. Next thing, like we can create a service interface first. And let us define what all things we are going to add into the service. So let us add details, like it should return list of orders. Can I get, let's say get all orders. Next, like can see create order, and this is the orders. This is the new order which we are going to insert into the database. We need to add import for all this. Seems good. Now we can save it. So this is for order service. Similar way we can add one implementer class using new class, and here we can say order service IMPL. And here we can add service stereotype. It should extend implements the interface which is like order service. Let me add import, and let us implement all the unimplemented methods. Now here first we can auto hire, like it is going to use order repository, and here we are going to create one constructor, public constructor, inside which we are going to add this order repository. Initialize this. That's it, we can save it. Let us add import for all this. Seems good. We can save it. Now let us call the respective methods which are available on the order service. Like here we can return order service dot find all. Now similar way for create order, can copy this, and here we can return dot save, and here this is the new order we are going to save, and we can save this file. Now we have create order and get all orders. That's it. These are the two methods we have added. Now let us create one customer client. Like we are going to achieve the inter-service communication using Feign client. So we need to create one customer client for that. So let us create one customer client. Now this is our client package, inside which we are going to create one interface with name customer client. Now here we can use like Feign client annotation, and inside that we are going to mention what is the name for that one. Like let's say we are going to call customer -service. Next we are going to add URL, which is http localhost 8082. Now let us mention one get mapping, and we can add some endpoint, like this is customers/id. So based on the customer ID we are going to fetch the customer detail, so it should return customer, and we can give method name get customer by id, and here we need to pass the path variable, and inside which we can mention it's an id and input long id. That's it. Now let us add import for all this. Like we need to create one customer object as well. So let us create one customer. So we can copy the customer which is there here, which is it inside. So this object we can copy as is, and we have this model object inside order, we can paste inside this one, and here it is not an entity, so we can simply remove that. This id part is not needed, and the getter setter is enough. We can remove the unnecessary part. This much is enough. Now we have customer object. Now we can add an import for this one customer. Seems good. Now we can save it. Now let us create our, this is the customer client. Now we need to create one customer service as well, which will inject the customer client. for the inter-service communication to complete or achieve that, we need to create one customer service as well class. So we can say this is the customer service which is inside order service, because we are going to call a customer service. So this is the service stereotype, and inside that we need to auto wire or inject our customer client. This is private customer client, and same we can create a variable with next. We can create one circuit breaker method, like we can use circuit breaker. Inside that we are going to pass some name, like here this is, let's say, customer service circuit breaker. We can give any name. Next we need to define the fallback method, like what is the fallback method we are going to use, and here we can define some method like fallback get customer. This much is enough. Now let us write one method like public customer response we are going to return, and we can say get customer. Here we are going to pass some long ID. Now let us return some null for the time being. Now we need to create one customer response which will hold the response data. So for this, let us create one bin inside this model. And this customer response, what all things it will contain, like it will contain first customer, it will hold. Next we require some boolean, like whether it is error or not. So for that we are going to set this, and we are going to use string message. That's it. Now let us add like all these details as is. We can copy. And here we can create the getter setters. Can select all and generate, and we can save it. Now this is the customer response we need to use inside this service, which is customer service. Now we need to add import for all this. Now let us add our actual logic at here. So let us create the customer response first. Next we are going to get the customer, and for that we are going to use, like this is our customer client. On that we are going to call the get customer by ID, and we are going to pass this input ID. Now here we are going to check if customer is not equal to null. That means we have received some customer object for the given ID. In that case we are going to set some customer response, and we can set customer which is the customer. Next we are going to set is error as a false because this is the healthy path scenario, and finally we are going to return the customer response, which is this one, and we can save it. Now this is the healthy path scenario wherein it will return the successful customer for the given customer ID. Now in case this method throws any exception, or it did not find any customer for the given ID, then in that case we need to implement this. It should call this method, fallback get customer. Now let us provide the implementation for this fallback method. Public fallback method, it should return the customer response as is, like this one, and here we can pass some long ID as well as throwable T, and here similar way we can create one customer response. Next we are going to check like if T means exception thrown is or let me now let us set some error, like this is our customer response dot set is error as a true. Next we are going to set some error message, and here we can set like customer service temporarily unavailable. We can say please try later. And finally we need to return the response, which is a customer response. This response we are going to return. So that's it about the circuit breaker Feign client communication. So here is a communication, like our order service is going to call this customer client, and through this customer service. Now we have created the customer service, but we have not created the endpoint as of now. So let us create one endpoint in order controller. So let us create one controller with name order controller, and here we can use a RestController, and here we can auto wire, and that is the first we require customer service because our order service is going to give a call to customer service. So we need to inject this customer service as well. Next we require order service as well. Now let us add one post mapping. And for this path we are going to use like place order, which is the endpoint we are going to use. Now here this should return some response entity, which will be returning the string. Now here it will fetch, we need to write the logic which will fetch the customer from customer service for the given customer ID. So here we need to write the logic for this method. Now let us add customer response. Now here we are going to call on customer service dot get customer by ID. First we are going to retrieve the object, and here we are going to pass. So for request body, it's not a string, it should be order entity. We can say it's a new order. This is get customer ID, we are going to pass. Now let us check like if there is a error for this, if it shows any error or not. So we can check inside if loop that get error message. If there is a get error message is not equal to null, that means it has some error messages. We can say and so we can add one more bracket at here because we are going to add one more condition, and we can get this, copy this, we can say get error message dot contains. Here we can copy the what it has shown inside. So this is customer service temporarily unavailable. So we are going to set this message if it include this one, this message if it contains then we are going to show return the response like and here we are going to prepare some status like response entity dot status, and we can say http status dot service unavailable. Next we need to add body, and here we need to mention customer temporarily unavailable. You can say please try later. That's it, we can complete this. Or if there is no error, in that case it should place the order. Like here we can say dot OK, and here we can use order placed for customer, and here we can add order service dot create order. and we are going to place this new order. If everything is fine and there is no exception, in that case we are going to create this order. In case the customer service is not available, it will throw this exception. It will show this exception. So this is the controller part we have added. Similar way we can create one more endpoint with name get mapping. We need to track like how many orders are there. So for this we can say orders. We are going to use response entity. Inside that we are going to wrap list of orders. This is the get all orders. There is no param for this method, and here we are going to use response entity.ok. Inside that we are going to use order service dot get all orders. This is the method we are going to use. We need to add import for utils list and get mapping. That's it. Now we can save it. Now we have this service unavailable method. Now let us implement some other part as well. Like let's say in case while we are trying to access the customer based on the customer ID from the order service, there is a possibility that for this customer ID customer may exist or customer object may not exist. This is the healthy path scenario. Like we are assuming that if there is a customer service is up and running, then in that case it should simply create the order. But what if there is no customer object available for this customer ID, then it will have a null customer ID and it will not get any customer ID for which it is going to create a new order, which is ideally not correct. So we need to handle the exception, like in case for this customer ID, if customer object is not found, then we need to handle that as well. So let us do that. Like first we need to create customer not found exception at here. Like let us copy the exception which are available at here. Let me copy this whole package which is there in customer service and put inside this orders. Seems good. Now we have this exception package. Now here we need to correct this, like the package name refactor rename. So package name should be order. Order in our exception should be inside order. It's good. Now fine, and this is the handle and this is the global exception handling. Now we have everything is in place. Like inside this customer service, not at this one. So we have okay. So here we are checking like if the customer response it is like customer if service is down, but here we need to check one more thing, like if we can copy this much part. And here we can say customer not found. If it includes like this message, in that case It should be in bracket. Seems good. Now let me copy this part and we can edit it here, and status we can set like not found. Customer not found. Or we can simply set here, this is the response, and here we can get error message. It will set and we can save it, and this part we can add into else logic. What we have done, this is the place order, it is placing the order. First we have the customer ID inside this order, new order which we are going to create. Now it will first fetch the existing customer from the database, like it will check whether it is a valid customer or not. For this ID it will fetch the customer record. If it found the customer record, first case, like if the customer is not found, in that case it should show the proper response like not found, and this is the error message. And in case if the service customer service is down, then in that case it will prepare this message and return the response. Now likewise we can handle the other exception as well and check if it is throwing any exception or not. If everything is fine, then finally it will create the order. So this is the healthy part scenario where everything seems good and it has successfully created the order with the input data. Now let us save it. We are done with our controller part. Now let us run and check how it goes. So first of all, check how many services are running. We have 3 services which are running. Fine. Now let us build this service, order service, and check. We can use run as maven install. Let me comment out the test for the time being. Now let us rebuild it. Seems good, build success. Now let us run it again. Now here there is an error, failed to initialize dependency, entity manager, data source, error creating resource. Okay, so basically cannot load the driver class. Okay, so now let us check our config file. So here we can start with our, this is our application.yaml, and herein we are using the dev profile. That means we need to access the dev configuration file which is for order service. So this is our order service dev configuration which is there on the repository side, and here we are using the MySQL database, whereas in our order service form file we are using the H2 database. Now customer service for the, we have already decided that we are going to use MySQL for customer service and H2 database for order service. Now we need to make some changes on the Git repository side, this inside this config file. So here we need to modify. we can use h2 database related properties, like we can say h2 mem, and here we can use order underscore master, and we can commit the change. Now this part we can copy this URL and let us check in order service, which is the default. Here we need to change these two, like we need to modify this again. Now here similar way we can modify this for order master database, and driver class name we need to change, which is org.h2.driver, and we can commit the change. That's it. We made changes for order service, which is the default file, and this is the order service.yaml file. Now let us check, rebuild it again and check how it goes. Let me stop this. Now here it is showing red for POM. So let us replace this HTTP with HTTPS, and we can save it. Now let us rebuild it using run as maven install. Seems good, build success. Now let us run it using Spring Boot app. Now let us check the log for order service. Now it seems good. Now it has started on port 8080. So it is taking the 8080 port, which is a default port. So let us check the port number on this one, 8084, which is for order dev, and here we have not mentioned the seems good. Okay. Now let us access our order service and check how it goes. This is the postman. Now let me first we can call the get method, and here we can use /orders and check how it goes. Let us check the controller part. What is the endpoint for orders? This is the orders. Same we are using orders. Now here I think let us check. So it is taking 8080 port, and this is the orders. Okay. Now let us add place order, and this is the post method. Now it is showing empty for get because we have not added any, created a new order. Now let us check how it goes. Now here first we can check how many customers are there inside this by using get. So we have two customers with customer ID 1 and with customer ID 52. Now let us use 51 one customer ID which is already existed and check how it goes. Seems good. It has created order created for customer, and this is the customer. Now if we want to check inside h2 database, like we can use http like localhost 8080/h2-console, and this is the root. Let us check what username and password we have set. Order master root and blank. Now this order is created. Let us call the get method and check. Now the H2 database, we are not accessing it somehow. Now here the endpoint should be orders, not. We can remove it. Now let us check. Now the first order is created successfully. Somehow we are not able to see inside this one, so that is fine, but we can access it by calling the get method. Now we have placed one order for this one. Now let us try check the fallback method. Like similar way we can create the order for existing customer which is there. Let's say customer, we have 2 and 52 customers. This is the get method. Yes, customer 1 and 52. For these existing 2 customers we can create the orders as we have created for customer ID 1. Similar way we can create order for customer ID 52. Now next thing, like we can bring down the customer service. Now the request is initiated from order service and it is giving a call to the customer service endpoint and fetching the customer object for the given ID. Now let us check whether it is calling the fallback method or not as we have coded. So this is our customer service and here is a fallback method. In case any exception occurs, like service is down or all, so it should set this error message and throw the exception. Now let us see how it goes. Like what we can do, we are trying to place an order. Like let us place the order for the ID for which customer is not existed. No, that is the different scenario. Let us bring down the customer service so that the order service should set this message like the customer service is temporarily unavailable. So let us bring down the customer service. We can stop this service, customer service. Now let us see how many services are there. We have just stopped the customer service. If you want to cross check, you can call the Eureka dashboard and see. Now we have config server and order service, customer service we just stopped. Now let us call this again and check. We need to call place order so that it should give a call to the customer service. Now here we can use, let's say 52 and see how it goes. Now it is showing customer service temporarily unavailable, please try later. This means it is showing this message as expected, which was we have expected that in case the service is down, it should give a call to this fallback method, and we have mentioned inside this circuit breaker annotation, and this is the fallback for get customer method, and it is throwing the exception at this line. Through this line it will give a call to the customer client and customer service, and it will call the get customer by ID of customer service microservice method, and from there it is throwing the, so it will found that the customer service is down, so it will throw the exception from here only and it will give a call to this fallback method. That means our fallback is working. Now let us check the other scenario. Like what will happen, let me run the customer service again. Now we have tested one scenario successfully. Now let us test how it goes. Now we have 3 services in place, seems good. Now let us give a call. Try to place order for which customer ID is not existed or customer object is not existed. Now let us put some number for customer ID for which the customer object is not existed into the database. Now let us check how it goes. Now it is showing customer service temporarily unavailable. So this is not expected because now the service is up and running, like customer service is up and running, whereas it should show customer not found for the ID, whereas it is giving this error message. Now how we can tackle this? Now we need to debug this part, like let us go to our customer service, and here now instead of customer client, here we need to create one more object like customer client config, because what error code is which is sending. Let me stop all the services and let us try to run in debug mode, so that we will have more picture, we will have a clear picture on this. Can run this in debug mode. Next we can run this in debug mode. We can run the customer service in debug mode, and this is the order service. Now basically it should come at here, not found. Here we can put some debug point. We have this one, and for this we have RestControllerAdvice, that means it should call in case of exception. Now let us go back to our customer service. This is the get customer by ID, and we are setting like if it is not there, it should throw the exception. After that it should come to this global exception, wherein this is the customer not found. Yes, here we can put the debug point. Now let us check how many services are running. We have all the 4 services in place. Now let me check with Eureka. Fine. Now let us hit this again, because we have placed in like debug points. This is the ID 9, seems good. Now here it has come to this exception part of, so this is the basically empty, which is a true, that means it will throw the exception from here. Now it has come to this place, which is as expected, which is a customer not found exception, seems good, and it has the message as well, customer not found for ID 9, seems good. Now let us set all these details. That means this is in customer exception. Now it has come it is inside the customer service, and it has thrown the exception, and this is the exception handler method which is handling this exception inside customer service microservice. Now let us come out of this, and it has thrown. Now it is showing customer service temporarily unavailable. That means there is a problem in our order service exception handler. Now let us go to order service. This is the exception handler for order service, and this is our global exception handler. Now we have set the endpoint at here, but it has not reached it here. Now that means till customer service it is throwing the exception as expected, but it is not propagated to the order service. Now in order to in order to handle the exception in order service, like the exception which is thrown by the customer service, we need to get that exception in order service. Then we need to create one more class, like let us create one configuration. Let me So this is the class. Now I have prepared this class because if we try to type it, then the video will become a bit longer. So rather we can create this customer client config inside order exception. And let us copy this part and we can put as this. Now why this class is needed? Because our order service is giving a call to customer service, and customer service exception handler is throwing that exception in a customer response. It is showing, but it is not getting back into our order service. Now in order to get that response back into order service, we have written this configuration client config. Now here we have written this code, like if the response dot status is 404 and customer not found, then in that case we are going to set this message. Okay, fine. Now let us set some and breakpoint. Fine. This is the customer client config. Now we need to add create one problem details, as we have that this is the problem details. We need to add import for this one. Now we have added import for this problem detail. Now we can add import for this. This is the errors. Now here this is the problem details. Here we can use errors, and seems good. Get error codes. Now what we can do, we need to create this is the problem details and errors, and here it is showing we need to add some error codes as well and customer ID as well, because it will set like customer not found, but in order to access the customer ID we need to create some custom error object in which we need to add the customer ID as well. So let us create one custom object like with name. Inside this we can create one class like problem detail, we can say custom problem detail. Inside that what we are going to set, like first is a private string type, we can copy it. This is the title and this is the int status, and this is the string which is details. So what all things are present inside the problem details, we need to add all those things. Apart from that we need to add the other things, like we can add it here. like it should be instance, and we can add some error codes because we are going to set that error code. And next we are going to add some customer ID we need to access, because customer not find is not enough. For what ID the customer is not found, we need to mention. So for that we have mentioned this class. Now let us create the getter setters for all this. Seems good. We can take this getter setters after this and save it. Now let us use this custom problem details it here. And we can use this class. Now to this error, let us check if we have get details. This is the details. We can save it. Now here we need to save. So this is the get details. S should be there. Now here actually we need to add these details and the customer ID as well. So here we can mention for this customer ID, we can even either give some space and customer ID like this one. But here let us check what is the customer. This is the just a plain string. Customer not found exception, it is just a plain string. Now we need to modify this customer not found. Now let us go to customer not found exception, which is at here. Seems good. Now here what we can do, we can add one private final long, let us say customer ID, because we want to access this. And we can create one constructor with this long ID, and here we can add super. No, this is there already, it is there. And here we can access like this dot customer ID, we need to initialize it with some ID. This is the ID we are going to initialize it. Next, like we are going to copy this and add some string message along with the long ID, and here we are going to set the message, and this is the ID we are going to set. Let us add one more customer constructor with only message, because we are going to append the ID with the message. So in that case it should show the proper message, which is only string including the ID. Finally we can add one getter for this customer ID, and as it is a final, there is no setter. for final attributes. We can save it. We are done with this customer not found exception. Now let us check into the customer client config, and this is the get details. Seems good. Now we can save it. Now let us check. Let us put some debug pointed here and check how it goes. Now let me stop this service and build it again, because we have added a lot of code. What is our objective? Like whatever customer not found exception it has thrown in customer service, that we want to show in order service, because the call is initiated from the order service. So that is the only objective we need to achieve. Now it's a build success. Let us run it, or let me debug it so that we can check how it goes. Now let us check with our Eureka registry. Seems good. Now let us hit back again. Like this is the place order for the customer which is not existed. Now it is throwing the error customer not found for value 9. Now it has come to the as of now we are in the customer service and it is throwing the exception from here. Now we have this customer client config, which is a mediator in between the order service and customer service, and this is the configuration wherein we are getting the exception from the customer service and showing in the order service. Now to get the exception as is in order service which has thrown from the customer service, this class will help us. Now here we can check the response body, and here we have this status 404 object mapper, and this is the main thing where we are converting it to the our custom problem details. Now let us check whether it has converted. Now it has shown some exception like com.faster custom not marked as ignorable, 7 properties, instance status, title, customer ID, type details, error codes, include source in location, disabled detail. Now let us check what has happened to this problem details. Okay, so basically let us check the problem detail. There is a class available. This is the problem detail. Let me check inside our global exception. This is the problem details. Inside this we have detail, not details. So same we need to use so that it will be in sync. Now let us check our custom object. This is, instead of details we need to use only detail, and we can save it. Now we need to remove this getter setters and add the new getter setters for details. Seems good. Now we can save it. Now I am not sure whether it is in sync. Now let us check. Let me rebuild it again. This is the order service. Let me close this. Okay, so here instead of details it should be detail, and we can save it. Fine. Now let us rebuild it using maven install. Let us run it using Spring Boot app. So order service is there. Now let us hit it and check how it goes. This 9 ID, customer ID for which customer is not existed, we know about that. Now let us go and check Problem details seems good. Customer service temporarily unavailable. Now we have placed okay, so actually we have run this, so we need to run our order service in debug mode. So let us do that. Order service in debug mode. Now let us hit it. And we need to place some, so these are some breakpoints, seems good. From here it will throw, this is the status, it will set problem details like customer not found for ID 9 details. Okay, now let us see, seems good. Now it is at here. Now let us go step by step and see it here. This is the body. Now this is the crucial statement wherein it has the exception details error message which we have received from the customer service. Now it will convert it to the custom object which we are going to use in order service. Now let us check. Okay, timestamp is not there. Okay, so let us check like timestamp is not there. So global exception, we have set this timestamp. So let us remove this first, and we need to check if we need to do anything else apart from this timestamp. This is the timestamp. Similar way we need to comment out it here. And here actually we need to add error codes. This is the problem details. This code is inside customer service. Now here we need to set property like first is a customer ID. For this we are going to pass exception dot get now this is the customer not found exception. Now we need to change it according to how we have set in order service, like this is the customer not found, or we can copy the code which is there, and same code we need to put inside customer not found. Seems good. Now it has this customer not found, and this is the customer ID which we are looking at. Now here we can set, this is the customer ID, here we can call get customer ID. So this is for customer ID property. Similar way we need to add error codes. And here we can set like customer not found. This is the error code, and we can save it. Now we have customer ID and error code which we are going to access in order service. We have set in customer service. Now we need to rebuild the customer service again. We can stop this. And let us run it in debug mode. Seems customer service is there. Now let us build the order service as well, because it has dependency on customer service. So let us build it accordingly. Now let us run in debug mode. Fine. Now let us run it again. So we can stop this first. Let us first check whether it is showing all the services. Order service seems good. Let us hit it again and check how it goes. It has thrown from the customer service and we are in the order service now. Now let us check how it shows. Yes, this is the crucial point, and now it is inside response. Now let us check. Seems good. Now it has come inside this error which is customer not found. We have set this error code. Now if you want to check, this has everything like error code and error message details and all, and it has properly gone inside this if statement. Now let me execute it and check what it shows. Now still it is not showing the customer not found, rather it is showing the customer service temporarily unavailable. Now let us check why it is not showing. Let us go back to exception handler, it here, not it here. So let us go back to our order service. This is the global exception handler. And we have this customer config file. Now here we need to check it here. Why it has not shown the exception it here. This is the customer not found get error message. It should go inside this one, then only it will throw the this message. Now let us hit it again and check. Okay, so basically this is the throwable, like when any exception throws, it should go to this fallback. Now let me put the debug pointed here and check how it is showing. Finally it should go into the fallback method for the any exception. Seems good. Now it is coming into the fallback because it has thrown the exception, which is a customer not found exception, but we have not handled any customer not found exception yet here. We have directly set the customer service temporarily unavailable. That's why it is showing only that message. Now let us set the message, proper message inside customer service, which is inside our order service. Now here we can use, this is the fallback method. Let me complete this. Okay, here we can check one thing, like if throwable dot instance of t, like we can use instance of, and our exception is a what is the exception? Our customer not found exception. So let us go back to customer not found exception. We can copy this part, and here we can check whether it is of the type of this class or only this much is enough. Customer not found exception, in that case we need to handle it separately. Like what we are going to use, like we are going to set some messages, proper messages at here. We need to add import, we need to import this. Here we are going to set customer not found or rather we can set the message which is available inside throwable.get message. We have prepared the message and concatenated ID, customer ID at there. Now here we can add else part. If we have multiple exceptions, we can add inside if else if, and now we can try for these two only. Like if there is a customer not found exception, it should go inside this if block, and if there is a customer service is temporarily unavailable, then it should go inside this block. Now let us save this. If you want to explicitly check whether it has some, like we can check for the error message as well, based on our need we can do this. Now we have saved. Now this is inside order. Now let us rebuild the order as well. We can stop this. Now this is the terminated, we can close. We have 3 services now including customer. Now let us build the order first, and we can check the discovery. We have only 2 services. Now let me debug the order service. Fine, let us check if it has registered with the order service. Yes. Now let us hit it again and check. Now I hope it should work. Now it is inside this ID, it has 9, and we can go. Fine, it has thrown from customer service. Now it is inside order service. Now let us check. Okay, so here we have not put any debug point, that's why it has come at here now, but it is properly set customer not found for ID 9. So basically this is the 9, but it has appended the 9. Seems good. Now let us check. So it is order is placed, it is showing customer response. Okay, inside controller we need to place the debug point at here as well. So what error message we have set, the same error message we need to check. Now it is fine. Now the error message is customer not found. It contains this error message. Okay, and this is for ID 9, but we have appended it twice. Now let us check. Okay, now let us first we can go to our where it said the customer not found exception. So here what we can do, like we can remove this because it is appending the 9 again, customer ID. That is fine. Now let us go to order controller, and here we need to place the debug point or place order and check what will happen. So this is the if. Let us stop this order server again, order service, and let us rebuild it again. Let me clean it. We can build. Now let us call the get service, like how many customers we have. We have customer ID 1 and customer ID 52. If you want to cross check, like we can check into customer master table as well. So inside customer we have these two records. Fine. Now let us hit it again, like the post method, and check until it shows the customer not found. We need to keep on digging. Event push error customer service. It has thrown. Now let us check into our exception handler. Let us build it again and run in debug mode. So this is the proper message in details. Now it will throw from here. Now it should catch in our exception handler class which is there. This is the customer order related to exception handler is there, global exception handler, and this is the customer not found exception. It should come at here. Okay, this is the fallback method. Customer not found. This is the error message. And you should go to it here. Basically it has not here it is checking this condition is not getting met. There is some typo. This is getting false. Now here we need to check what is the error message we have received. We can inspect it. So the error message so we can copy it. So this is the error message and we are checking with customer not found. Okay, basically it has one capital found, so there is a typo, so we need to check with this font. Now it should work. We can expect now it is true. That means it will throw the exception from here and it will show. Seems good. Now it will show the proper error message. Seems good. Now it has shown customer not found for ID 9. Okay. So that means all our exceptions and our scenarios, like in case of the service is down or if there is a customer not found exception, all these are working fine and we have tested those. Now let me repeat, like let us add one customer ID for which it is existed. It should create the successful. Now for this 52 customer ID we have the customer existed, like we can check customer is existed for 52 customer ID. Now let us create one new customer and check it should work as expected. This is the healthy path scenario. Seems good. It has created one order. Now if we call the get method for the order, like let me call the order for 8080 and this is the orders. Now we have this 52 order customer ID which is existed it there. Similar way, if we try to add for customer ID 1 and let me change it like customer mobile 2 and somewhere price 22. Seems good. Now it has created the order successfully. Now let us hit back the get orders. Now we have 2 items. That means it is working as expected. Now only we can check, like let me put down the customer service, bring down that, and let us, this is the last scenario. We can check and we can confirm that everything is working fine as expected. Now if we try to add something which is for the ID which is not there, and or anything, like if we try to add the customer ID existed, because service is down, that means it should show the service is down. Seems good. Customer service is temporarily unavailable, please try later. So we have tested all the scenarios for this one and it is working fine. The exception part was a bit difficult because the exception was thrown from the customer service, but it was not propagating to the order service, and we have seen how we can see that exception as well. Now final thing, like we can implement our API gateway. So let us create our API gateway, and here we can choose this option like other, and here we can select Spring Boot Spring Starter Project, and here we can give the service name, let's say gateway service, and here we can add group, and this is the gateway service, and here we can add proper package of gateway. That's it. We can click on next. Now here we can add like API gateway first. This is the Spring Cloud routing gateway we need to add. Next we can add actuator. Next we can add Eureka client. It should be Eureka discovery client. Next we can add Spring Cloud config client, and this much is enough, I think. And we can click on next button and finish. Now this is our gateway service. Now we can, this is the class, here we need to enable like it should be discovery client, because anyway though it is a gateway service, it should register with the discovery client. Now let us delete the default properties file, and here we can create one YAML file. Or we can copy the file which is already there inside customer, and we can paste inside the gateway resource. Now let us add one by one. Like first of all we can add some server port, and we can give some port which is not existed. Let us put 8089, and here we can give some name, like let's say it's a gateway service, and we can keep these things all as is. This we can remove, and after this we can actually add our cloud logic. Like inside Spring we have this cloud, inside that we need to use gateway MVC, and after that we need to use routes, and inside routes like we can use, this is the ID, and what we are going to use, we can give some name, order service route. Next, like we are going to add URI, and this is the load balancer, and we can use order hyphen service, and for that we need to add predicates as well. And what are the predicates? Like we need to add path, so this is the equal to sign, and we can say orders. Similar way we can add, so this is for one service, similar way we can add for other service. This is the URI, and this is the predicates. Now here we can change it, like it should be customer service route, and this is the customer service URI load balancer, and this is the customer service, and here we can use customers. Now let us add some Eureka related property as well. Like this is we need to register it with Eureka, so for that we can add Eureka client. Next, register with like Eureka, which is a true, and we can add fetch registry, which is true again. Next we can add service URL, and we can add default zone, which is HTTP localhost 8761, which is a Eureka server port number, and we can add this like Eureka. That's it. Now let us we need to correct the indentation. For that we can copy this part and we can paste inside notepad, and we can replace it. Like wherever the occurrences of a tab, we need to replace it with 2 spaces. So we have 63 occurrences we have replaced. Now we can copy this and replace to this one. Seems good. Now there is no error as such, we can save it. Now let me tell you what we have done. Like we have added for this gateway service, we have added the dependency of this Spring Cloud MVC gateway, and after that like we have, this is our starter, this is the entry point wherein we have made this enable discovery client, because though it is the API gateway, we are going to register it with Eureka discovery. Now this is the configuration part, which is important. We have changed the port 8089 unique to gateway service. This is the gateway service name we have given, and in case if we want to add any configuration to Git repository for this gateway service, we can use this part, and we can activate the dev which is specific to gateway service if we want to do that. Now this is the crucial part wherein we are mentioning the routes for the gateway service using Spring Cloud Gateway MVC routes. Now this is the ID for order service, and this is the URI load balancer order service, and these are the predicates. Here we are mentioning path. What it means, like for any URL endpoint ending with orders or orders including orders, it will route simply to the order service. Similar way, any URL with path customers, it will route to the customer service. This is the simple meaning of this Spring Cloud routing. Spring Cloud routing with API gateway. Now this is the Eureka server, which means like it should register with the Eureka because this is the client to the Eureka registry, and this is the default zone for the Eureka Eureka registry. Now let us resolve this error and we can save it. Now this is the orders, starting with orders. Now let us check our endpoints for the order service, because we have 2 endpoints. Or let us run it and check what will happen for these 2. We have order service. Now let me build the gateway service. And let us run in. So our gateway service, build success for gateway service. Now let us run in debug mode. Now seems good. Now let us check whether it is registered with the Eureka service. Seems good. Our gateway service is registered. Now our gateway service is running on port 8089. Okay. Now let us hit the endpoint and check how it goes. Now we have this get orders 8080 is for order service. Now let us check. Now it is showing empty because it's H2 database we are using in order microservice, and every time we restart the order service it will not return the state of the data, rather it will start from the scratch because it's an in-memory database H2 to which it is pointing to. Now let us hit some customer endpoint and check how it goes. Now our customer service is running on port 8082. Seems good, it is showing. Now if you want to run it using the customer gateway service is running on port 8089. Okay, let us cross check it once. Gateway service 8089 seems good. Now let us check. It should show the same data because now we are running it using gateway service, and gateway service we internally call the customer service. Seems good, it is calling. Okay, fine. Similar way, let us check with our order service. This is the order service. Now let us call it by using the gateway service, which is 8087. Now it is not showing anything. No, 8087, not 8089, because this is the API gateway port number. Seems good. Now let us place the order using the postman. So this is the, we can directly try with the gateway service, and our place order is there. Now it is not finding the place order endpoint. Why it is not showing? Because we have mentioned all the predicates starting with orders, it should call the order service, and this is the endpoint which is starting with the place order. Now we need to change the endpoint so that it will give a call to the appropriate service, order service endpoint. Now here this is our order service. Now just add orders so that it will get called. Now we can save it because we have order set here. Every endpoint we should start with orders so that it will work. Now we need to stop the order service and rebuild it again, and API gateway as well. Now let me close this and let us build it again and check. Let us build it, order service and API gateway service as well. We have placed debug points. Now let us run our discovery service first in debug mode. Next we are going to run our config service in debug mode. Next we are going to run our customer service. We should run in sequence. Next we are going to run our order service in debug mode. And finally we are going to, so let us check whether all are registered. Now we have config server, customer service, order service. Now let us run in debug mode the API gateway service and check whether all are registered with the, seems good, all are registered with the Eureka gateway registry, Eureka server. Now our API gateway, this is the API gateway which is running fine on port 8089. Now let us check. First we can call our orders using API gateway 8089. Now it is showing empty, seems good. Now let us call the customers again and check by using 8089. Now it is calling the customer's endpoint using the API gateway, which is fine. Now let us hit API place order using API gateway. Now here we have changed the endpoint. We need to add orders. After that it's a place order. Now let us check how it goes. Internal server error. Okay, so it has gone. So this is the place order, and this is the capital O. So basically we need to call place order. Everything should be in small. Now let us check. Now it is coming as expected. We can now let us check. Seems good. Customer not found for ID 7. Now if we go back to our database, which is on MySQL database, and if we refresh this, we will see that for customer we have ID 1 and 52 existed. There is no customer available for ID 7, and it is working as expected. Now the best thing is that we have called this API using API gateway, whose port is 8089, and we have tested all the scenarios and this is working fine. Now if we cross check with some proper ID like 52, it should work as well. It should create the order. Yes, we can see order is created. Now if you call the orders using API gateway, it should show that order. Seems good. A order is created and we have called this endpoint using the API gateway. Everything is working fine. We have successfully created API gateways as well, and we are done with all our services using including the API gateway and all. And I hope you must have enjoyed this. Please do not forget to like, subscribe and share. And we have completed or implemented all the things which we have committed before we start this video. And thank you so much for watching this.